Hey, good afternoon, everyone. So today we'll give a brief description of our report. The group members are Farouk, Jackie, and me, myself. Okay. So what are we shipping? We're shipping plasma TV, and the dimensions are 802 times 491 times 136 millimeter, and each TV weighs around 8 kilo each, and the quantities is around 400. It's shipping from Seoul to Sydney. Alright, so mode of transportation. So the available mode of transportation is of course the airplane and the sea, since we can't use inland to that far. And even for air transport, even though it's high in price and it's usually used for urgent deliveries or high value costs. And if you use that, the landed cost is usually very high. And yeah, and so for this report, the suitable mode would be a sea transportation, because as in the report we have stated that this shipment is not urgently needed. So yeah, for ship transportation, it's low in cost. It's 5 times lower than air transportation. It's easy to ship. Once you load all the TVs in the container, you don't have to move it anymore, and it's suitable for a long lead time. The possible disadvantages are that it's one of the slowest mode of transportation, and it is very affected by the weather and the climate changes happening. Alright. So various service provider and selection. So we have come up with some of the shipping companies in the world, and of course they are OCL, MSC, and Mazer Line. And then for inland transportation, we choose Wusum in Korea and Rapid Haulage in Australia. So why we choose Mazer Line? It is one of the largest shipping company, and in their website we found out that they have very reasonable price, thus becoming a largest shipping company in the world. And their services are very frequent, and they're also very consistent. And in their website you can actually check the terminal handling cost and the departure handling cost. Alright, next one.
So now I'll talk about the route from the starting, from the origin. So from the city, Seoul, we will transport the goods to Busan. So it will mainly, the route will mainly cover from Yeongdong Express and the Yeongbo Express. So the shipping company will use is Wusum shipping, and the carriers will be trucks. And the transit time is 5 hours with the light traffic. So the route B will be mainly cover from the port Busan to Sydney, Australia. So it's port to port. So the shipping company will use is Mars Line container ship, and the distance will be 5,216 nautical miles. The transit time is mainly between 18 to 20 days. So route C, of course, from port we need to ship the goods to the original destination of the buyer. So it's the inland route from Butani port to Liverpool. So the shipping company we will use is the Rapid Haulage. So distance will be 34 kilometers, and possible carriers of course will use trucks, and the route we will use is Highway M5, and the transit time is less than 1 hour, possibly 15 minutes. So now I'll talk about the drawbacks of the sea transport as well. So it's mainly affected by the weather, which is like integral part in this. So serious harm to ship, and even it may make it like sink. And geographically it like strike if the ship is too large in some of the areas of the sea. And the lack of stable political condition in many countries may also result in barriers for the sea transport. So now I'll pass the time to Jackie.
So here are some of the drawbacks for inland transportation. First, of course, is you're in the land, and it's possible that you will have some accident or breakdowns throughout your journey from port to port. And then, of course, like in inland, the most challenging thing is seasonal nature. Like for example, you might have typhoon, flooding, like that. Like also like cause difficulty for the shipper to ship the goods. And here are some documents that we need for our for the whole process of the shipping. First, for the commercial document, first you have the, of course, we need the invoice and the origin declaration, sales contract, certificate of origin, like which in sold, and then export packing list, single administrative document, and other documents such as insurance certificate. And then for transport document, of course we need the seaway bill, certificate of inspection, like search and like what do they have in the container, and the docks received, the shipment order, the bill inland, and shipping guarantee.
Alright, so now let's talk about the insurance. So of course the insurance, there are going to be many accidents as mentioned by my groupmates. There will be fire, there may be fire, act of God which cannot be stopped by human, like such as the weather. There can be possible typhoon in Philippine Sea as they are very nutritious for that. And so some of the examples are fire and explosion, the ship becoming stranded, and the collision or the ship hitting to one another, the act of God, as I mentioned, loss of item while loading, theft, and also the rain and water damage. Alright, so here's a quick diagram of our whole shipment from Seoul to Liverpool and Kmart. So the origin, of course, is Seoul, as you may see over here. It's South Korea. So it passes through Yeongdong Express and Gyeongju Express. It takes around 5 hours. The distance is around 400 kilometers. So when it goes to Busan port, in the port of Busan, we'll be using major online container shipping. It takes around 20 days, 18 to 20 days, with 5,260 nautical miles. It will go through the Philippine Sea, then the Coral Sea, then the port of Sydney. So when it reaches the port of Sydney, we'll be using truck from Botany Port to Liverpool through Highway M5, and the final destination would be the warehouse of Kmart. Kmart is a electronics store where you can find TVs and stuff like that. So from origin, from Nino's, the seller of the TV, to Kmart, the buyer of the TV. So that's it for our presentation, and yeah, some of the reference. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.